for your shortcomings and your mishaps. We're going to preach. Okay. But see, watch this. See, there's this place that most of us are in. We understand that there's this action that is solicited that we look for. We're looking for this reaction for God to move in our lives. But in order for this reaction to take place, there must first be an action. There's no reaction without an action. You slap me, I'll punch you. Y'all don't want to be real in here. You don't want to be real in here. See, you kick me, I kick you out. Make sense? Just a little bit of sense, okay? If you love me, you say you love me, I'm going to love on you. We understand that the storm that we're in is something that we created. So we can't be shocked when the rain begins to fall on our lives. A lot of us are unprepared. We're walking around without our spiritual umbrellas, knowing that we're going everywhere causing storms in our lives. You can't be unequipped when you're the one that's bringing the problem. Who is the problem? According to the book of Psalms, 46 and 10, the word of God says, be still. Know that I am God. The God we serve is not a riot nor an author of confusion or chaos, but when you're still, then God can work on you. See, God can't work on you when you're constantly moving because you're thinking that you know and have everything figured out. In order for God to work on you, baby, you have to find yourself stagnant. That doesn't mean that you're not progressing, but that means that God has placed you in a place in order to be made. It's like that tree that's planted by the river of water. The reason why the tree is not moving because everything that the tree needs is right there, planted right by. So in order for you to receive what God has for you, you have to learn how to stay still and stop trying to be everywhere at the same time. The Bible says, keep your feet when you come into the house of the Lord. That means that you must stand steadfast and unmovable in order for God to operate in your life. I'm telling you on this morning, if you've been moving outside of the will of God, in order for you to receive what God has for you, the divine interaction, you must first stand still and let God work on you. Tell your neighbor, he's talking to me right now. He's talking to me right now. He's talking to me. That's all. Identifying and describing these actions and reactions. I'm not out your way. The force of these reactions, it begins to show us that it has to be pairs. This simply means that the matter of identifying with interacting objects and making two statements describing who is pushing on whom and what direction that they're being pushed in. This means that the force that takes place has to first be identified. If the force is not identified, then you never know who is doing the pushing. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here. Case in point, real simple. Come here, Lady Kate, real simple. Listen, when we begin to look at this thing and understand for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Put your hands up there. For every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. All you see is two hands being placed together. Amen. But do you realize who is doing the pushing? Talk about it. What I'm trying to show you is that just because you see two being placed together doesn't mean that one is greater than the other. You have to find out what is moving you, because somebody is being moved and is not by the right force. There's something in between us, and we begin to post pressure on each other. We begin to realize that one is stronger than the other. But if you don't see me give you a sign that she's or I'm being pushed, you never know who's putting forth the force. What I'm saying to you on this morning is you have to be able to identify with who's pushing you. All right. Amen. Because see, a lot of us in here on today, we're not being pushed by God. We're not being pushed by God. We fail to identify with the force that is motivating us. We think that it's God that's moving us forward, but it's a trick of Leviathan. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. The Bible says he disguised himself as an angel. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here. He disguised himself as an angel of light. So you begin to think that it was God moving you forward, God making you make these decisions, but you never sat back and really analyzed what it was to say, who is it that's pushing me? Case in point, you created the storm. So expect your rain. Come on and clap your hands with God some praise.
Amen.
The reason we must identify with this thing, I told y'all I might not hoop and holler, is because we have to realize and identify the roles. Sometimes we have the roles mixed up. We have the roles mixed up. Instead of me being submissive, being the wife, I want to be aggressive and be the husband. Instead of me being aggressive and being the husband, I'm being submissive and acting like a broad trying to be the wife. I'm going to preach anyway. It don't matter. So there becomes a place in our lives where confusion takes place. And the reason that confusion takes place is because the devil is the author of confusion and the roles have been enmeshed. And you don't know who you are because you don't know who's pushing you. That's heavy. That's heavy there.
Talk about it.
We don't know who's pushing us. So what makes us start thinking that we've created this storm that we're in and we're expecting the rain. Something has to happen in order for the effect to take place. The effect don't just happen. Something has to take place in order for the effect to take place. You either fall out of God and that makes you want to draw closer to him, or you stay close to God and it makes you want to go higher in him. They missed it. You either fall out of God